How many times have you come up with just like a killer riff that you just love, but then it stops there? You're like, okay, I've got this cool riff, but what do I do now? I can't find anything that fits with this riff. Well, we're going to go through that in this video today. So I've got this little riff I came up with just a few minutes ago that I'm going to base this lesson off of here. Let's just play that real quick. Okay, pretty simple riff. What we want to do next, though, is expand on that riff, and that's what this video is all about, guys. I want to give you some concepts and just give you some ideas to help you expand on all those killer riffs that you're writing, but you're just not really sure where to go after that. And I think we all hit this stump from time to time. After this video, I hope that you're able to carry on with that one riff, expand on it, and maybe even write an entire song. Okay, that's what this video is all about. So I am going to treat this video like a live video. Okay, this is a normal YouTube video, but I'm going to treat it as if we're live, like you guys, you watching this right now. You're right here in this tiny little 10 by 11 studio. All of us, we're in here together just jamming on guitar and just writing riffs and coming up with ideas. And I hope that the concepts we go over help you expand on your own riffs, again, hopefully to the point to where you write an entire song based on what we're going to go over here. So the first thing I like to do, and I think this will help you, okay, I like to determine, well, that riff I just played, so what is it based on? All right, so I'm playing an A power chord here. I'm in standard tuning, by the way. All of those notes I just played there are really based on that one chord. I would be technically in the key of A minor here. Of course, we're playing power chords, so just the A power chord, but that's what this is based on. So whatever riff that you just came up with, okay, and you probably have a library of riffs in your computer or something, right? All of those riffs, they're gonna be based on a chord, or at least a chord progression of some type, okay? So that's what I like to first do, is just determine, well, if I've got an A power chord, what other power chords go with that? Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I just want to preface real quick before we dive in. There's no right or wrong way to this, guys. I'm not giving you rules. This is really only concepts and just something to help give you ideas, something to kind of just boost the creativity when you get stuck writing the riffs. Maybe apply some of these concepts, and I think it'll help you expand on the riff. That's the whole goal of this video. But I do like to think about the other power chords that might sound pretty cool with the A power chord here. Well, I already know an F power chord is going to sound cool with that. So let's just play those two power chords, A and F. Okay, just two chords, keeping it very simple. Let's go back to the original riff, and then let's play those two chords after that. Let's just listen to how that sounds, okay? Okay, so you get the idea, and actually I threw in the G in there as well. Sometimes as you're playing, it's like, okay, well, these two chords go together. Well, you may think of another one that goes with it, and it'll just kind of naturally flow right into that. So again, I went to that G. We played the A, the F, then went to a G. And I went back into the riff. So already just that simple little tactic that we just pulled off there, you've already got two parts to your song if you think about it. Let's say you wanted the riff part to be on its own. Sometimes, guys, I like for the riffs, like the riffs, the one I just came up with, I like for those like single note patterns or single note riffs, I like for them to be on their own. They don't have to be. This is by no means a rule. There are no rules here. Remember that, okay? There's only what's best for you. There's not really a right or wrong here. There's only what's right for you, what sounds good to you, and what's coming out naturally, okay? You're writing this. So we've got those single note riffs there, or the single note riff. I like to sometimes have that alone, meaning I don't want vocals over the top of that. Sometimes I don't even want a lead guitar over the top of that. I want the rhythm to shine. Just kind of one of my personal things here is I get a little irritated sometimes with songs where it's just cluttered with vocals and guitar solos. I love all that. You guys know I sing, I play a lot of solos, I shred and all that stuff. But sometimes I'm like, man, I just want to hear that rhythm part. Can we just push everything aside for a second here and let the rhythm breathe a little bit? So you may have that as your little just guitar part there, okay? It's just instrumental with that riff. And then during the power chords, you may have your guitar solo come in if you're playing an instrumental, or you might have the vocals come in right there. So just some food for thought, okay? Speaking of food, I'm kind of hungry now. I'll eat after this video. Anyway, so we already have two parts to the song. We've got the little riff there, and then we've got a very simple power chord progression. Now, another thing we can do, let's say, well, I don't really want the power chords to ring out like that. You know, maybe you want to write something that has a little bit more movement. What if we chop the power chords up a little bit? Just do some palm mutes. What if we did this? I'm going to start with the original riff and go back to the power chords. We're going to palm mute them and chop them up a little bit. Not only did I chop it up with some palm muting, I kind of added some other stuff in there as well. Two things I did. I want to share this with you. Again, guys, this video is off the cuff. I'm not going to be doing any editing, hardly any editing at all, except for just syncing up the track I'm recording in the studio so you'll hear the guitar clear. But this is just us. We're sitting in the room right now. We're writing music together right now. That's what this is. So a lot of times as I'm playing, and this probably happens to you as well, you just come up with stuff. I encourage you to always go for it. Maybe you have it in your head. It's like, okay, well, I got to play this chord progression because that's what I came up with. But as you're playing, allow yourself the freedom to do some other stuff if you feel it. By all means, do that. That's what riff writing is all about. So one of the things I did with the power chords, one way I played the F, it's like this. Listen to this. This is a strategy I love to use. I call it the variation of power chords, meaning you're not just playing the power chord. This is an F in this case here. First two strings, frets 1 and 3, okay? So that's the power chord. Okay, I did something like that, and all I'm doing, again, a variation of the power chord. Instead of the first and third fret, I play the first and second fret, okay? I'm playing that second fret of the A string as well. Again. You can do that with all the power chords. Just play around with the second note of that power chord. Let's try it with the G and with the A, and just keep messing around with that second note. Move it around a little bit and just hear all the textures and all the cool stuff you'll come up with. Let's try it on the other two. Okay, so you can run with that for days right there. The concept though, guys, the concept's not so much of every individual thing I was doing, okay? This is, again, off the cuff, just coming up with the stuff. The concept though of just moving that second note around a little bit and then maybe changing the picking pattern, right? Instead of the power chords ringing out, maybe you want to chop it up a little bit, or maybe you don't. It doesn't matter. Again, no right or wrong way here, guys. Just try different things. Now, something else we could do. We're about to move on from this chord progression, by the way, because I don't want to hang around the same area the entire song. I want to branch out a little bit. Nothing wrong with it being just that. I mean, if you had that riff and those power chords in between, chop them up however you want. Hey, I mean, that could be a song. You could make a song out of that, right? But I want to do something a little bit more special with it, and we're going to go through that. But one more thing. let's change our picking strategy up a little bit. Let's start with the initial riff, and then we'll go through the power chords. What we did there, pretty cool. We just changed up our picking strategy. We just started doing some alternate picking. And as you just heard, I kind of went off from the original alternate picking that I started with, just kind of the back and forth, right? I kind of went off to a little different strategy there, just kind of chopping it up a little bit more, right? Just trying some different things. You know, there's no right way to do this. There's just only you going through this process and just trying different things. So right there, you saw how we just took 2 or 3 power chords to expand on the riff. What do we do? Let's just recap that first part, and we're gonna get into something really interesting here. So we started out with the initial riff, right? We're basing it on that power chord, that A power chord there. We determined that, that helped us right there expand on that riff with some more power chords. Well, we asked ourselves, what power chords would go with that? Okay, so we figured, okay, well, it's in the key of A minor. There's an A power chord. We've got an F and a G. Then we changed up some of the second notes of the power chord, right, to get some different sounds. Then we changed our picking strategy. So right there, I mean, you've got an entire song. You could do the song like this if you wanted to. You could let the chords ring out. Listen to this one thing real quick. Then we're gonna go on to the really cool part, which I really don't know what that part's gonna be, because again, we're doing this. We're just sitting in the room together right now, okay? So let's try something here. I'm gonna start with the initial riff. I'm gonna let the power chords ring out, but I'm gonna do something different after that, okay? And you know, I screwed up my riff already. Check that out. Maybe we should try that. Okay, so we did something completely different there. We played our riff, the riff that you wrote in the beginning, right? We followed up with some power chords. We determined this, you know, based on the A power chord, so we followed that up with the F and the G. We just let it ring out. The second time around, though, we did some cool stuff with it, right? We chopped up a little bit, and we just did some other things with it. So you could have, for example, let's say that's your main riff, right? You just started the song. That's it. Power chords are ringing out. You've got some vocals or some kind of guitar melody if it's an instrumental. Then you go into chopping up the power chords a little bit more. Now that could be the second part of that verse. Have you ever heard a verse, and of course there's several songs out there that do this, right? So of course you've heard it, but have you ever noticed how sometimes a verse of a song, the first part of that verse will be one way musically, and it'll have the same progression, right? The second half of that verse, but they'll do something a little bit different. The guitars might do something different. It might be the drums or bass or whatever. So that's kind of the strategy that we just applied there, okay? So a really cool thing to think about as you're writing the verse, right? The verse doesn't have to be the same thing. I mean, you can chop it up in the middle and just make some changes. Now, another thing we could do, let me put the clean channel on real quick. By the way, I'm playing through the Black Star Amp 3. Most of you guys saw my video on that. I've had that for a couple months now. But you could do this after the normal riff, you know. Turn my volume on. I don't have the foot pedal in front of me, so pretend that was with distortion. You could do something like this. all I did there, go back on distortion here, all I did there was just really play the same chords, the A minor in that case, followed by an F. Then I went A minor, F, G. Kind of the same thing we did, with the distorted rhythms there. So again, just another strategy you can use. Now, something else we can do, and I don't do this in every single song, but I like to throw in a key change here and there. I'm gonna make up something, guys. I don't really know what I'm gonna play yet, but just follow me. Alright, so what we did just now is something that I absolutely love to do, and I love when musicians and bands do this. We just change keys, guys. We just, we're in the key of A minor. You notice there's kind of a difference there. Now, the key that we went from A minor to B minor. So everything we were doing before was based on that A power chord. What I did after that, I played the riff that we wrote, you and I wrote together, right? We followed that up with the chord progression, the A and the F there. But then after that part of the song, we based everything on the B power chord. Notice I went from here to here. Okay, so now we're changing keys. We're now technically in the key of B minor, and what I did is I played an F sharp followed by a G. I played an F sharp over the D there. And that's a cool sounding chord. I've got a lot of videos on that, on that strategy. Again, it goes back to the variation of power chords. We're not just playing a regular power chord. We're changing that second note of what we normally play for the power chord, okay? Real quick, that note right there, or that chord rather, first string, second fret, the second string, I play the 5th fret, so I move up a fret there. I think that's what I did right there. Again, we're just writing this together. We're moving right along here, but that's a cool strategy I use quite often in a lot of my music. I love those chords. I love the way those power chords are played when you're in certain keys. You can play them a certain way, right? And then we go right into that G, and again I change the second note of that power chord. Okay, something like that. The notes really aren't so important right now. The concept is what I want us to get here, and that's simply the changing of keys, right? You're in one key. Well, now let's try something completely different, okay? Let's try something different. Let's just kind of go off the beaten path a little bit here. So right there, that could lead, I don't know, that could lead into a chorus, or that could be the chorus of the song. Let's try this again. Let's say we've got the initial riff. We'll follow it up with power chords. I'll do all this in half time so it doesn't take so long to play it here. And then we'll go to that B. So think riff, think maybe the verse, then think chorus, okay? And then back to the riff. Then if we wanted to go from there back into the main riff, we could do that. You don't have to, but we could. cool. So we changed keys. Another cool thing we did that you may notice is after the main riff, when we went to the power chords, we let those ring out, right? But then when we change keys, we're playing some more power chords, a little bit more movement of the fingers there, and then we're chopping it up a little bit. So what we're doing is kind of like creating some slight contrast between each section of music. And again, I know I keep saying this like a broken record, but this is not a rule, guys. It's not something that you must do or must follow. It's not. I'm going to step out on a limb here. It's not going to necessarily make your song better if you do it or if you don't do it. It's not, it's not, there's no best here. There's no better here. Guys, there is only what you feel inside, and you're releasing that through your guitar playing, through your riff writing, through your songwriting, okay? It's I want this to be personal to you. I really want that for you, okay? I don't want you to look at what I'm doing here and say, well, I've got to do exactly what Jason just did, follow that same path. And you may try this, but I really want you to just allow this to open yourself up, right, to new ideas, things maybe you haven't tried before. That's the whole purpose of this little, I guess you call it a lesson / little guitar chat here. Again, we're just hanging out together in the room. We're going to wrap this up soon, okay? But hang in here with me for just one more part to this. So how can we make this, because it's got a certain vibe to it, and I like to keep the vibe, right? I like the vibe to it, but what if I want to do something different? What if I want to just kind of throw the song off a little bit? Let's try something. Let's go through everything we just went through, and I'm going to try something completely different. Again, guys, I have no clue what it's going to be, but let's just try. Here we go. Okay, so I don't know if that fit or not. Remember what we said, there are no rules. Now some of you may have listened to that, it's like, okay Jason, that really didn't work for me. I didn't really care for that. But try stuff, okay? Try stuff, because you may not care for it, but that part you didn't care for, you were playing that because you were having trouble thinking of something else, right? So you tried something different. Well, you may either fall in love with it, because some of you may have heard that, and you're like, okay, we went to another different key, but kind of like an off key, right? We're in the key of A minor, then B minor, then we went to the key of B flat, I guess B flat minor to be exact there. But we've got an A power chord, right? Everything's based on the A power chord. Then we went to a progression based on the B power chord. Then we went to B flat. We just kind of threw a kind of a weird change in there. It's like, wait a minute, we're here. And now we're here, but now we're like in the middle somewhere. This might not make any sense. But to some of you listening, some of you may have loved that, right? So as you're writing riffs, just venture out and try different things. Try unorthodox things, right? Try stuff in different keys. Maybe throw in some power chords or notes or whatever that you don't normally play. Maybe play the riff on a different place on the fretboard. You guys hear me talk about that in a lot of the lessons that I give. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I really hope you did. If you did, if this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, all that good stuff. By the way, real quick, if you don't have my free practice guide called Metal Riffs and Licks, download a copy of that. There's a link in the description. Most of you know I have guitar courses out there. Now, my Metal Riff Master course, I have you playing. Right now there's over 80 different metal riffs in there, and they're not all in the same key. So that course is for mainly intermediate and beyond guitar players, but it really gets you used to playing in different places. Of course, there are plenty of riffs you know, in the standard E minor key and A minor and all that, but you got some riffs in some different places as well, just kind of to mix things up a little bit. So yeah, that course, there's a link below in the description as well. And of course, I've got my beginner's metal guitar course called Metal Guitar Apprentice. So do check those out in the description here. But again, guys, leave me any comments that you have. I hope this lesson helped you. And if you like more stuff like this, hey, let me know. I had a lot of fun filming this, by the way. This was a lot of fun for me because, again, it's off the cuff. Is kind of what I enjoy doing best, is just improvising. And I had this idea. I'm like, well, why not do this with you guys? You know, why not? Let's just put it out there. So again, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Until the next video, as always, keep it metal and keep writing music.